Hello everybody, Skin Deep Beauty Vlogger here. I hope you're all really well. Today I've got a bit of a negative video for you, and that is disappointing and overhyped products. These videos are always a little bit controversial. I filmed a couple in the past before, which I will link below. So I always start off these videos with a little bit of a disclaimer, sort of pointing out that one of the great things about beauty is that we are all different. So what didn't work for me may work really well for you. It may be one of your favourite products. Please don't be offended if one of your favourites is in here. In fact, if anything, I'm a little bit jealous because you haven't wasted your money on something that you haven't gotten on so well with. So just take this with a pinch of salt, but if you do tend to like the same products as me, then maybe this is quite useful. It's always good to hear the negative as well as the good, and see if you like it. In the interest of not being too negative, I've got a bright pink lip on. This is a Revlon lip gloss called Adorned, I think. Yeah, this is a Revlon lip gloss called Adorned, and I've also got a glittery jumper on as well, so trying to keep things a little bit upbeat despite the negative nature of this video. As with my favourites videos, I'm going to do this in no particular order, but I thought I'd kick things off with some skincare disappointing products. And first up is the Origins Spot Remover Blemish Treatment Pads. Now these are pitched as a sort of more convenient version of the little spot remover gel that Origins do, which is very popular, but I haven't tried it personally. I have used these up, so they weren't absolutely horrendous. What they are is sort of little cotton rounds that were really saturated with this sort of salicylic acid solution, and you're meant to just swipe them over any affected areas where you either are prone to spots or have one there already, and they're meant to sort of help the problem, maybe speed up healing if you have got a spot. I just didn't think that these did anything. I quite liked the medicinal scent because it felt like they were doing something, but I used these when my skin was really congested and I just didn't notice any difference, which is surprising because they do contain salicylic acid, so they should be helpful, but I just thought that they didn't really do anything. They reminded me a lot of those sort of oxy pads that were quite cool to use as a teenager, and now I just shudder at the thought of doing that to my skin and wouldn't recommend them. Overall, I didn't think these were worth the money. They're pretty expensive and I wouldn't recommend them. A bit of a controversial one because I know that at least the gel is very popular. I'm not too sure about these. From reviews on the site, they do seem to be popular as well, but anyway, I'll get the controversial one out of the way. Another spot treatment that I didn't get on very well with was the Elemental Herbology Perfect Clarity. I'm holding that at a really awkward angle. This is a sort of blemish treatment pen, much like Touche Eclat by Yves Saint Laurent. It really pains me to criticise an Elemental Herbology product because I do really like the brand as a general rule, particularly their eye elixir, and also I like their cell food serum. But I just didn't get on with this. First up, I didn't like the concept whereby you brush this onto the spot because I just think it's really unhygienic, so I ended up just brushing it onto my finger and then dabbing it onto the spot. I didn't feel that you got much product in here for your money. It certainly sort of seemed to run out quite quickly, and I also didn't notice any improvement when I applied it to spots. The only good thing about this is that the ingredients are quite nice, so you're certainly not irritating an already irritated area by putting sort of harsh products on that are going to strip the skin, but it just didn't do anything. And again, I think this is quite pricey. I can't really remember, but just didn't really get on very well with it, and I wouldn't recommend it. I've tried cheaper spot treatments that have been far more effective. One example would be the Good Things Stop That Spot Clearing Gel. Really like that one. Another product that I'm sort of a bit reluctant to include because I don't like to slate sort of smaller companies or, you know, natural brands. I think it's great that they're trying something new, or not necessarily new, but you know, they're trying hard. But I didn't get on very well with the Voya Balmlicious lip balm. This wasn't a bad product, but it wasn't great either, and I was really disappointed because it's meant to be a vanilla and peppermint scented lip balm. So I thought, wow, that sounds amazing. It's going to smell really nice on the lips, be really enjoyable to use. It's got a very subtle mint scent, but you know, the scent is nothing special. I didn't like the way that the lip bullet was cut either. I found it quite difficult to apply, and it's also quite dry and waxy. I just didn't really enjoy it, so I wouldn't recommend this. Sorry, don't like to do that to a small brand, but you know, in the interest of fairness, I thought I should mention it. I've got one disappointing body product, and again this is from an organic brand, and it is Neal's Yard Remedies, which I find their products to be a little bit hit and miss. Some of them I really like, and then there's others that I haven't gotten on so well with, such as this one. And this is called the Beauty Sleep Body Butter. And I really wanted to like this because I don't tend to sleep that well, so anything that claims to help sleep, help relax, tends to appeal to me. This is a pretty pricey product, and I just didn't get on very well with it. It smells absolutely incredible, and that's like the best thing about this, and I really wanted to like it because I really enjoyed the scent. It's quite a strong fragrance. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's a very sort of botanical aromatherapeutic scent, which I really like. Quite a grown-up fragrance. It's certainly not going to be for you if you go for like the Body Shop fruity body butters, for example. But the reason I didn't like this is because it's very, very thick, but not in a good way, not in a moisturising way. I mean, it was moisturising, but it just took so much effort to rub this into my skin. And to the extent that I was kind of thinking by the end of it, is it called Beauty Sleep Body Butter because I just feel exhausted after like trying desperately hard to massage it into my skin? I think it's because it contains quite a high percentage of beeswax, because it certainly does have a very waxy feel to it, and when you're applying it to the skin it just leaves a white cast for ages and you just have to keep rubbing it in. It did help a little bit if I mixed it with an oil or if I applied it to freshly exfoliated skin, as any product would do, but I just didn't think that it was worth the effort, and I was disappointed because I really liked the smell, and also I just think this is a really pricey product, so I think they could have worked a little bit hard on. And also this is a really pricey product, so I think they could have worked a little bit harder on getting that formula just absolutely spot on. Next up are a couple of disappointing hair products, and first of all I've got the Mark Hill Miraculicious, I can't say that, Miraculicious Nourishing Conditioner with Moroccan Argan Oil. Now, I liked this in that it was nourishing and it lives up to its name in that respect, but it was so difficult to rinse out of my hair. It just took ages to rinse and rinse and rinse, and I still didn't feel that I was getting anywhere. So for that reason I wouldn't repurchase this. I mean, you know, we're all busy. I wash my hair every day. I don't have time to be waiting around for something to rinse out and take that much effort. It's not a bad product, but the fact that it's so difficult to rinse out was just a massive downside for me, and I wouldn't recommend it and I wouldn't repurchase it. Now, I think the next disappointing hair product is going to be a controversial one, and to be fair, this is a little bit like my own fault because I'm not an expert when it comes to hair. You can see that. I don't have best hair on YouTube by a long stretch. I always watch YouTube videos and watch these girls with absolutely beautiful, like perfectly set curls, and their hair just seems to look lovely, and I've never been that girl, and I really do take care of my hair, but it's just, I'm just not naturally blessed with good hair, and it's such a shame. I wish I was. I think if you've got good hair you can get away with anything. I also don't have very good skills when it comes to styling my hair, maybe because I've just never really bothered, because my hair's a nightmare anyway. It never does what I want. So this might work for other people. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this next product may well work for other people, but I'm just not that dexterous when it comes to hairstyling. And it is the Babyliss Big Hair. Now, I've got very fine hair and I really wanted this to work for me to give some volume, but it just didn't get on that. We just didn't get on very well. I did get this in the sale, so it was a little bit less disappointing. It is normally quite pricey. You know, I've even still kept the box because I use it so rarely that I tend to keep it in the box. It just didn't really do anything, and how this works, and I haven't got it plugged in so I can't show you, but it sounds like a hairdryer. It's extremely loud, and what you do is you sort of take a section of hair and this spins, and I was so worried that I was just going to get my hair caught up in it. I found it quite scary to use, and I just didn't get on very well with it. I know British Beauty Blogger had the same problem, so if you're good at hair, then maybe check this out. If you're not, I wouldn't bother. I can get more volume in my hair by just tipping my head upside down when I'm blow drying it compared with this, so I wouldn't say it was worth the money at all. Lastly, I'm going to finish up with some disappointing makeup items, and out of all the products that I've talked about, these are probably the ones that mostly fit into the overhyped category. I know, for example, that Voya lip balm is certainly not hyped up. I've got 4 disappointing makeup items, so I'm going to start by talking about one which probably won't be a surprise, and this is the Maybelline Superstay 14-Hour Lipstick. I did a first impressions video on this, so I'll link that below. This wasn't a bad product. I just didn't think that it delivered on the claims, and for that reason I was disappointed. By the time a couple of hours had passed, it had just disappeared off my lips, so for that reason I don't feel that it delivers on the claims, and I wouldn't recommend repurchasing it, despite the fact that it's an alright product. It's not horrible. It's not a horrible product, but I don't think that it delivers on the claims. While we're slating Maybelline, I guess I should talk about one of the biggest hyped up mascaras of recent times, and this is Maybelline The Rocket Volume Express. Some people love this, some people hate it. Unfortunately, I fall under the hate it category, and the main reason being that I find it extremely difficult to remove. I never wear waterproof mascara because I don't like that sort of crispy feeling on my lashes, and I don't like the difficulty that I experience when I come to remove it. And although this isn't the waterproof version, I definitely felt that it fell into both of those categories, whereby my lashes were left feeling crispy and it was extremely difficult to remove. This is probably the most difficult to remove mascara that I've tried, even more so than Benefit They're Real, considering that it's not a waterproof formula. I mean, I guess for some people that's a good thing because it's not going anywhere once it's on. It's got a plastic bristle wand. Some people love these, some people hate them. I never used to like them. I always used to go for a classic bristle wand, but in the last year I've really gotten into these sort of plastic ones. So that certainly wasn't disappointing to me. I just didn't like the crispiness and the fact that it was difficult to remove. It kind of delivers on the volume claims, but when I hear the word volume, not only do I want volume in my mascara, but I also want it to have that very feminine, fluttery lash effect, and this doesn't give that because of the crispiness. It does lengthen, it does define, and it gives some volume. It's also fairly buildable without clumps, but there's better mascaras. I didn't get on with this. Maybe you did. A lot of people do love it. But for me, you know, there's better mascaras. In particular, but for me, there's better mascaras. Even within the Maybelline range, I particularly like the Falsies Flared. Much better than this for my needs. Wouldn't repurchase it. And then the final 2 disappointing products were really disappointing because they're both from brands that I absolutely love. First up is a NARS eyeshadow crayon. This is called a Soft Touch Shadow Pencil, and it's in the shade Goddess. So it's sort of like a really pretty champagne colour, just the kind of shade that I would really normally go for that all over colour wash when I just want a really easy, you know, maybe a weekend eye without thinking about it. Really, really pretty colour. I don't know if you can see it, there you go. And it does live up to the Soft Touch name, you know, it sort of glides on really creamily, really soft, doesn't drag on the lids, but this creases like nothing else, and I couldn't believe it. Particularly considering that NARS is a pricey brand. I was so disappointed. It creased like nothing I've ever seen. No, it creased unbelievably on my lids. I tried it with a primer as well. I tried it without a primer in case that was interfering with it. It just did not work well. I'm not going to like completely get rid of this because it is a nice product and it is, you know, it's a nice colour and I like NARS. But I think rather than applying it all over the lids, I'm just going to use it as a sort of inner corner highlight. But other than that, it's not really for me, and I certainly wouldn't have spent that much money on this if I'd known that it was only going to be used to highlight my inner corner. So I wouldn't recommend this. And then last but not least is an Essie polish. I absolutely love Essie. They're one of my favourite nail polish brands, but this colour just didn't work for me. It really isn't the colour that, you know, flatters my hands. This is a very popular shade called Fiji, and I often see some of the really big YouTubers such as Miss Glamorazzi talking about this and wearing it on her nails. It always looks so lovely on other people, and I don't know if it's just because my hands are pale and I'm not tanned. I will try this again once I've got a tan, but it just didn't do anything for my hands. I did have some compliments when I wore this in a video, but in real life I didn't think that it was flattering. It's a very opaque, very pale pink, almost like Tipex, but with a hint of pink to it. It wasn't for me, and I was so disappointed because I wanted this for ages, and then I finally picked it up and I think I wore it once and decided it wasn't for me. I'll try it again when I've got a tan. If you've got pale skin, then this may not be for you. I guess I didn't expect it to be quite so opaque, and that for me was disappointing. But in terms of the longevity, in terms of the formula, it's absolutely fine, as all Essie polishes are. It's, you know, it's a good product, but yeah, not for me in terms of the colour, unfortunately. I hope that you found this useful. I know that some of the products I've talked about are ones that just haven't worked for me personally in respect of colour or my own inability to use them. So I'm not too sure if it is a useful video. Let me know if you've enjoyed it nonetheless. And if you've enjoyed it and you're not already subscribed, then please do so. There's a button just below, unless they've moved it again. And I will see you all soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!